Welcome to Conversations with Sarah. I'm Sarah Reddan, creator of the SRTT Self-Care Club. Thank you for joining us today. You can find me on most social media platforms as SRTT Self-Care, but Facebook is where I'm most active, and you can come and join my community groups. Today, I am joined by the wonderful Amanda Joy, who is a clinical hypnotherapist and Director of Studies at the Northern College of Clinical Hypnotherapy. Hi, Amanda. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
It really is.
College of Clinical Hypnotherapy.
I should have done my my
NCCH.
exercises, drama exercises before I came on and talked today.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
It's wonderful. I love speaking with you. You've been a guest before, but we're going to talk about a different topic today. So you're going to share about menopause, perimenopause, and like how hypnotherapy can be supportive of symptoms.
Yeah, well, you sent me a message the other day. It was like, what should we talk about? And I can talk about lots of different things because as a trainer, I have lots of different bits of information about lots of different areas. And as you know, I specialize in natural fertility, hypnobirthing, and the more joyful areas of my work. And then I also work with people who struggle with addiction, and weight management is another area that I sort of focus on. So stopping smoking, getting off cocaine, stopping using cannabis and all that kind of stuff is really my area. So working with in menopause is something that's quite different for me, but I completely just got my interest because I have entered into this stage in my life. Around Christmas time, I was really unwell. Had the lurgy and it really knocked me for 6, and it just didn't seem to recover at all well. Up until that period, I was noticing dips in my energy. Normally I've got loads of energy. Dips in my energy. I wasn't sleeping so well at night. I kind of like lost my mojo. My sex drive kind of disappeared, which is very unusual for me. And I just wasn't really feeling very good in myself for couldn't think of any reason, and regularly meditate and regularly take care of myself and have massage and take time out, and self-care is really
Doing
important.
all the good stuff.
All the good stuff. And I thought, why is this good stuff that I normally do not working? Maybe I need to step it up. Maybe I need to do more. But nothing was sort of changing how I was feeling. And of course, I was quite poorly over Christmas, which kind of made things worse. Then throughout January, I was struggling with breathlessness and massive fatigue. And then as the year went on, things just didn't seem to get back right to how they were. So I wanted to kind of investigate what is going on with me. Why am I totally exhausted? And of course, all this time I wasn't doing exercise. I wasn't particularly feeling like I wanted to eat healthy. So I was gaining weight. And I know that that's not good for me because I do have a little bit of a heart condition. So I need to, which I've pretty much healed, but I do need to really keep good.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've worked so hard to reverse sort of the symptoms and the issues that you were having with that health condition.
Yeah, and autoimmune disorder as well. So I'm always like really careful about the fuel that I put in my mouth, and I'm careful how I spend my energy. But whoa, I was like, why is none of the stuff that I normally do working? What's going on? And I was getting hot flushes. Now people talk about hot flushes, like I mean. You read about it and it says blood rushes to the surface of the skin and your face may feel red or look hot. I look like an exploding beetroot. Like I am dripping wet with sweat, and it's like volcanic eruption has gone off within me. And you can guarantee that hot flush would happen at 5 to 9, just as I'm about to rush out the door to begin my day, and then I'd literally be stood there in a complete stupor, sweating, and have to like just strip naked and then go and have a shower and start again.
That's really extreme.
It was bad.
Yeah.
And that would happen several times throughout the day, where I would just get really, really hot and sweaty. And I'm a bit nervous about body odor. It's always been one of the things, like I've got to smell nice. I love essential oils. I love kind of exotic oils and perfumes, and I love to smell good. I'm wearing a lovely perfume red now, and I like to have perfumed oils on my skin, so smelling good is something that is really important to me. And I think with my autoimmune system having a bad smell kind of characteristic with it, it's always something I've been really sensitive with. So to have had an explosion and sweatiness going on, and then have to continue a day at work, I actually felt uncomfortable in my own skin. It wasn't nice. And then things kind of gradually got a little bit worse. I wasn't sleeping so well at night, so I was a little bit tired in the day, not sleeping well again the following night, so a little bit more tired. And then the emotional stuff kicked in, and one day I lost it completely. I was like, somebody lock me up, I've gone bonkers. I was in the kitchen and I was cross because the washing up had not been done. That was it. I was cross because the washing up had not been done. And it meant that I was tired and I was going to have to do it. And I didn't want to have to do it. So it was only a really small thing, just the washing up, not really a big deal. Nobody's going to die. But I was so frustrated and irritated by this. And the more I looked at it, the more I could feel this like anger and rage rising up within me. And just as I was at peak of feeling really, really angry and really, really frustrated, I had a hot flush. It hit me. And so now I was hot and sweaty and angry and frustrated and irritated. So I stripped off naked in the kitchen. My other ass like looking at me like, what is going
What's
on?
happening?
I'm normally really chilled out and laughing and jolly and singing and being daft and stuff. So for him to see me like this, he was like, I'm just going to take the dog for a walk. Leave you just to have some space. Thank goodness he did, because I stripped off naked and started washing the dishes like a crazy person, blimmin' dishes. I stood naked in the kitchen washing the dishes, like literally swearing at the plates. I was like, all right, this is not me. I don't even feel like myself anymore. What is going on? So I called the doctor, which was a really difficult process, because it's really difficult to speak to a doctor now. It took me 3 weeks of what I call psycho calling. Hello? No, still not answering, to get 27th in the queue. And then I literally just waited and waited and waited so that I could speak to a receptionist who's not medically trained, to see if I could be directed to a medical practitioner who could help me. And I literally just went, I am crazy. Wow. I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. I don't feel like having sex anymore. I'm sweating all the time. And I just laid it. The poor woman on the other end of the phone must have thought, who is this complete insane?
I wish I did ask the question.
Like, what can I do to help you? Well, I feel like I need locking up. I literally felt insane. And then I watched that Davina McCall thing on the telly and I thought, I know what it is. I think this is what it is. I'm 45, so I'm quite young. My health hasn't been great over the years because I was, in the past, I drank a lot of alcohol. And so for many years, I didn't have a menstrual cycle. So having a menstrual cycle, having a period has been quite unusual for me, but I did some womb healing and some cleansing and it all came back and everything was in a very kind of healthy cycle. My periods were stopping and starting and I was not in my regular flow and I just thought something's really going on here. So clearly I have hit perimenopause. So I was like, okay, let's find out what this is all about. So got into doing the research and discovered that, when you have lower estrogen, and that's what's happening, your estrogen levels start to drop off. When your estrogen levels start to drop off and they plummet, your hypothalamus, which is the kind of thermostat inside your mind, doesn't understand whether you're hot. It thinks you're hot. It thinks you're hot even when you're not. So causes the blood to rush to the skin, causes you to have a flush because it's your body trying to bring you back to a state of balance. Also, when your estrogen drops off, it has an impact impact on the amygdala, the fight or flight response in the body, and actually makes you more susceptible to feeling like mildly frustrated a lot of the time, to feel quite stressed and anxious a lot of the time. But it certainly makes us less resilient to normal stresses and strains of life. We become we're impacted by stress much more than we are normally. There is some cognitive differences as well, like the grey matter in the brain it actually reduces. That goes back to normal after the menopause time, but it means that you get brain fog, you can't think straight. You've got cloudy kind of, you can't think of the words for things.
Oh,
what's the word for that? I know what it is in Spanish, but I can't think what it is in English. And you're halfway through a sentence and you lose what you're saying. Those are the sorts of things, like, that kind of like cognitive stuff is impaired. And it's all because of lowered estrogen. So, of course, I thought, right, HRT, get me some HRT. But because of a family history of deep vein thrombosis, because of an autoimmune disorder, because of my history with heart, it meant that there was only a few medications that would even be safe for me to use.
Oh, okay.
I was given a prescription, which I dropped into the pharmacy, and 3 weeks later, there was still no medication available.
So I have seen sort of in the news and things, not that I watch the news, but where I get the news from, that there's been shortages of like HRT, and millions of women have had issues with getting their regular prescription, and it really has had an impact on people.
HRT shortage is not new. It's been in the news more recently because people are starting to talk about it. But it was something like the amount of women choosing to use HRT has doubled. It's gone from something like, I've got the numbers, but I can't remember them exactly, but it's gone from something like 235,000 women to 557,000 women, and those numbers are not quite exact, but something along those lines. Because there's been an increase in awareness around menopause, because women haven't wanted to talk about this for years. When you talk about it, you're like, you're old, you're dried up, your time is done. You're approaching the end of your life. It's like, hang on a minute, I'm only 27 in my head.
Because we're supposed to pretend that we don't age, aren't we? We're supposed to have just keep like perfect skin and change our bodies, and not age in any way, shape, or form as a woman. We just need to somehow keep this glamorous sexiness. And when you're talking about dry vaginas and hot flushes, then doesn't feel very sexy.
Not a sexy thing, is it? But I do think that we need to get over that and start talking about it, because like flipping George Clooney, as he's got older, he's got sexier. Why aren't women viewed in the same way? As we get older, we should be worshipped more and respected more, and certainly seen as being sexier. I do think an older woman definitely knows what she's doing in the bedroom more, so she's definitely sexier.
I'm not going to pass comment on that. I mean, my husband is 12 years younger than me, but I'll let him comment. I won't.
And of course, a loss of sex drive and dry vagina is something that also happens with that drop in estrogen levels, because your skin starts to thin. You're more prone to bladder infections and things like that. But actually, I think it's instead of it being a time of mourning and loss, I think we should almost get into a time of experimentation. We've still got all the oxytocin. We've still got all of the love chemicals that we can get. We just need more hugs. We need more affection. We need the intimacy. And I think women who are struggling that need to focus more on the intimacy, and on, intimacy is like into me, I see. I think we need to have that connection with ourselves and what we like, and get into like being curious and explore who we are. Many of the women who I've spoken to over this past year about this have felt very much like for years, and this is another topic, but for years they have been actresses in the bedroom carrying out sexual acts because they think that is what their partner likes or enjoys, and pretending to enjoy or engage in it because that's what they've seen on a pornographic movie, or that's what they believe is how they should be acting in the bedroom, instead of in the place where we should be the most authentic. When many women are actresses and not really and getting the most out of pleasure that could be had in the bedroom. And I think, if anything, this is a time when you can go, do you know what? Now I'm going to be completely me. I'm going to be completely authentic. I'm going to explore what I like, what I enjoy, get excited about moisturizers and lubricants if that's what you need. But certainly increase the intimacy, you know, in a way. This time in your life could be a beautiful gift because
it is a period of change. So why not, I want to say, embrace the transformation and take some control in it, and like you say, really getting in touch with your sexual power, getting connected to your body more. It can be a different experience, I would imagine. I mean, as far as I'm aware, I'm not at that stage yet. So there's a lot that I'm hearing from you and other guests that I don't personally experience yet. So I feel like I'm getting well equipped for if I start hitting that, or when I start hitting that.
Yeah. So the lack in HRT is not new, although it has been brought to the attention of us all, because if you think, if there's been a doubling in the amount of HRT prescribed and women who've asked for it or who desire it to use it, that means that half of the women who are taking it now weren't taking it a few years ago, just 2 or 3 years ago. This has just been a change that has happened very recently, which means that there were a lot of women just muddling through. I mean, that's generally what a lot of women have done forever, 4 years. They've not spoken about it. They felt shame around it. They felt dried up and rubbish around it, you know, and they haven't wanted. And the options for from the doctors haven't been particularly good. And they've not come with a great deal of explanation. And for many women, it's meant muddling through. I think the increase in prescriptions of HRT is not come from an increase in need. I think the need has always been there.
It's awareness.
It's become because there's been an increase in awareness, and people are getting more comfortable talking about it.
And I think more comfortable going in and actually saying, I need this.
Yeah.
Make it happen for me. Because again, as women, we do tend to ignore our own needs, and we might meekly go, hey, I think this might help me. And if you're dismissed, especially by a medical professional, it's very easy to go, oh, okay, I don't need it, and just carry on. So what I discovered in a previous conversation is there's not really like a definitive tests that go, yes, absolutely, 100%. You are going through the menopause. It is a little bit of a guessing game.
Estrogen fluctuates, so it's difficult to measure it. You might might get a blood test on a day when it's quite a good level. It's not low enough for them to recognize it. So it can be really challenging. But I think the most challenging aspects are the hot flushes that can be, like, for me, were just awful. The brain fog, the lack of resilience to kind of stressful situations, the lack of sex drive, you know, the good things, feeling calm, feeling content, stuff that I normally felt, I just didn't feel anymore. And I really felt like somebody was possessing my body. It's like, who am I now? What is this? I didn't even know. I didn't feel like me anymore. And it was quite, as a person who is very reflective and a person who does engage in a lot of self-care, it took me by surprise how very quickly I became very emotional, a little bit bonkers, and how, you know, very quickly things became very challenging in life. And of course, for me, I'm one of those women that, because the medication that I need is not available for me, it's meant that I've been I'm going to have to muddle through.
So what's helped you muddle through? What's helped you kind
Yeah.
of work with
Do you know,
symptoms?
well,
Because I mean, I know you're going to talk a little bit about hypnotherapy, but is there other
yeah.
things that's helped you along the way?
Well, it's been a game changer as hypnosis, absolute game changer. It's been brilliant. Oh my God. It was I've had to practice what I preach, really, and I've had to start applying it to myself. So I think to start with, helping me to feel more in control, helping me to feel calmer, helping me to feel more connected with my body, helping me to listen to my body and understand what it needs each day, each hour, each minute as we go through the day. It's been really good helping me reconnect with myself and go, actually, I do feel like myself. I can be me. This is me. I feel all right, really. Do you know what I mean? So getting me back into the place of feeling in control, it's really helped me to manage my emotions and help me to feel calmer. But the best bit of all is the hot flashes have massively reduced. Now I know I'm not alone in this, because there's been some good research done. Hooray for research! And what they've discovered is that with hypnosis and with self hypnosis, which is what I've used on myself, self hypnosis, you can reduce your hot flashes by up to 70% with just 5 weeks of kind of regular practice of using self-hypnosis. So your hypnotherapist will help you communicate with your mind, where all the changes are happening, with your brain, where all the changes are occurring, and will help your body go to find that place of homeostasis. So there's the confused signaling, like you're really hot, you need to cool down, will not happen. So I did a lot of visualization of being in cold places, which was really helpful. But I added in a lot of breath work as well. So self-hypnosis and breath work. Shall I show you the breathing that I do on a daily basis?
Absolutely, yes, please. That I was about to, that was going to be my question. Like, will you share that with us, please?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one, but it works really, really well. So you need to have your out breath longer than your in breath. And the reason why we need the long out breath, because it's like a sigh. When we sigh, it's an indication to our mind, to our brain, that we're safe, that we're well, that everything's okay. So it takes us out of the fight or flight response, oh my God, everything's terrible, and puts us into a more rest and digest, like everything's good. I've just had a nice dinner and I feel all sleepy and lovely.
Just chill, yeah.
So it's that long breath out is what helps us to feel like less anxious and more stressed. Less anxious and less stressed, not more stressed. Trip over my words. So we need a longer breath out and a shorter breath in. So to kind of help me do that, in my mind, I draw a square. So on the first side of the square, I breathe in. And then on the second and the third and the fourth, I breathe out. So breathe in and I breathe out. And because it's like, how do you know which one's longer and which one's shorter? So it's just breathing in and breathing out, really easy. If I'm struggling to sleep and I want to bring about a feeling of drowsiness, I breathe in, I hold my breath, and then I breathe out for 2 sides. So it's all about the square. Get a square in your head. I need something simple when I'm all a bit bonkers and crazy.
But it's easy to follow, isn't it? It's that, and that's focusing in on something else as well, isn't it? I think just that act really helps to center you back into yourself.
In my mind, I'm drawing a square. So if I need to sleep, breathe in, hold, breathe out, breathe out. If I'm just wanting to cool down, breathe in, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out. Now, how do I breathe in? Now I don't know that everyone can do this. Make like a tube with your tongue.
I can do that.
Now I know that some
I'm
people
joining
can't,
in.
but if you can't, just to make as much of a kind of tube with your tongue as you can, and then you breathe in through the tube in your tongue, and then you breathe out as if you're blowing down a straw.
Oh, and you can really feel the difference in that.
It's instant, isn't it? Do you feel colder?
I just can feel the difference in the breathing. I just feel chill. And I always want to hold, I always want to breathe in, hold and breathe out, because I think that's my natural way of calming myself. So I think it'll take me a minute, because I lost track as you were doing it and you're showing me and I'm doing it with you. It will take me a minute to practice that way of breathing.
The cool sensation that I feel on my tongue when I'm breathing in, I can feel it kind of having an impact. It really helps my brain go, she's cooling down, it's okay. We can start.
And I'm noticing now, as I've settled into it, that actually, I do feel cooler within myself. So I'm in a warm room anyway, and I always get a little bit warm while we're doing the podcast, because I'm talking and I'm, getting engaged with everything that's going on, and my brain's, staying focused. It's hard work. And so, I do feel that I'm cooling as I do. It's so interesting. I hope that people will try it.
Yeah, so breath work and self-hypnosis have been an absolute game changer. And there are specific techniques that we can use as therapists that will really help you to feel calmer, to feel more in control, and also to get that clarity back. There's nothing worse than just feeling a bit dumb and a bit daft all day, and tripping over your words. There are amazing techniques that we can use. And it's been actually it's just been a joy to actually implement this and use it with myself and start to share it with other women. In terms of getting my mojo back, I'm back, and I'm certainly dealing with stress in a much better way as well. I'll share, I'm a little bit tired today, but that is because this is a bit of a gross story. Are you ready for this? My dog went for a walk last night in the park and disappeared behind a bush. And whilst he was disappearing behind a bush, he ate a poo.
Oh no.
And we think it might have been a human poo.
Oh no.
Really disgusting. So we clocked it and grabbed him, but it was too fast. He'd eaten it before we could get hold of it. It was awful. So I was like, get him on, wash his mouth. It's disgusting. And then when we got to about 1 o'clock in the morning last night, we heard this noise and we were like, oh no, the dog's been sick. So me and David both jumped out of bed, create bonkers pit, jumped out of bed, quick, get the dog, get him outside, get something underneath his mouth, what can we do? And of course then he regurgitated this
oh no.
I know, that'll do.
I may or may not leave this in the podcast.
But it's a situation that is incredibly stressful.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
he is my baby too. So and I it was all over the place and shaking and out of it, not feeling good. And I would have, up until this point, it would have been something that would have completely triggered me and freaked me out. And I would have got really emotional. I would have been out of control. It would have been exactly the sort of thing that would have been a lot worse than not doing the washing up. It would have been something that would have really impacted me. But I was able to just really kind of just deal with what I needed to be done very calmly. I was able to take care of him and make sure he was okay. He's a little bit out of it today, bless him, but I've left him on a big pile of towels, all snuggled up, having a sleep. But it was just great to feel like I've got back to myself again. I can manage more stressful situations. I can think clearly about what I want to do now.
Yes, because that, I imagine, was extremely stressful. Regardless of what the dog's eaten, you still don't want to be dealing with dog vomit in the middle of the night.
And then, of course, I was awake. So normally, if I've woken in the night like that, that's it. I can't get back to sleep. So I was able to use my self-hypnosis techniques and guide myself back into a restful sleep. So although I haven't had a lot of sleep, the sleep that I have had has been restorative. And I've just about managed to get through this podcast without tripping over my words too much today. But I just want to kind of share with anyone who's going through perimenopause or heading towards menopause, if you're experiencing any of these things, there are so many alternatives just to HRT. I think HRT is great for a lot of people, but for me, I'm restricted in what I can have. And while there is a a reduction in it. There is a czar, there's an HRT czar, who is doing her very best in government to sort it out, but that's only sort of started in April of this year, so there's still a lot of work to be done, and hopefully you know, it's on its way to being, you know, in a better situation than it is. And I think a lot of GPs still need to know more about what is available in, you know, as an alternative to HRT or as an accompaniment to HRT. But if you're looking to manage your emotions, to kind of ward off things like low mood, depression, or to stop yourself from feeling anxious and like crazy, like what I felt like, and having like really high moments and really tearful moments, like you don't really know who you are anymore. Hypnotherapy is really helpful, because it works with the brain, it works with the mind, it works with the part of the body that is going out of balance, and it helps to bring it back to that balanced state. If you're having hot flushes, it's brilliant. There's loads of research to support it, its use as well, which is really exciting. A lot of women in the research that I was looking at, that was just really looking at hot flushes, a lot of the women reported other benefits as well as a result of having hypnosis. And when they were asked to kind of give a satisfaction kind of rating out of 10, like give us a rating out of 10 on how satisfied you are with the hypnosis treatments that you've had, most of them gave 9 out of 10 as a result.
Fantastic.
I mean, the numbers speak for themselves when it comes to helping. You know, 43% of women who were having insomnia as a result of it slept better in comparison to the 4% that were not having hypnosis. The statistics support an improvement in sleep, a reduction in hot flashes, certainly a feeling of getting back in control and having that clarity of thought. There's so much we can do with hypnosis. It's amazing.
And you know that I agree with you, because I also use hypnosis. Such a wonderful therapy, and it really does make a difference. And I think if anyone is listening, because you do private practice work as well, don't you? So they can reach out to you.
They can work with me one-to-one, but I can also refer them on to an array of amazing qualified therapists. All of the therapists at the college are all trained in multiple techniques that can all be adapted to work with all of these different things. Everybody is unique. Everybody's going to have a unique challenges with perimenopause, menopause and postmenopause. But we can really support women to feel like this time in their life is an absolute gift. It's a time for exploration. It's a time to really connect with yourself. It's time to do what you want to do for you. And if you're struggling to see that future as well, that's where hypnosis can really help as well. So all of our students and graduates are all trained in these techniques. So I can absolutely refer people on if you can't get an appointment with me.
Perfect. The details will be in the show notes as well, how to get in touch with you, how to get in touch with the school, and of course how to get in touch with me, and we can refer on through that. It feels like we probably are at a place where we need to end.
Yes.
Is there anything you kind of want to add for people that are listening today?
Just that there's hope. You know, you don't have to feel like crap. You can absolutely make some very simple changes that have huge impact and are really, really helpful. I'm really glad that I applied what I know to myself. It was a bit of a heal thyself moment, but I was absolutely blown away with how powerful and helpful they have been. Just simple breathing exercises and a bit of self-hypnosis each day, just to communicate with my brain to make it do what it needs to do, so that I can feel cool, calm, confident, have clarity as I'm like continuing through my day. It's
but it is massive. It is massively powerful. I mean, I use it. I don't use any medication to manage like my health conditions, and it's massively powerful tool for managing pain and all of the other beautiful things that come along with having like fibro and ME kind of diagnosis. It's not just the menopause and the perimenopause. There's so many things. So it is that if you're going through stuff, give it a try. Give it a try and see if it's something that fits for you.
Brilliant. Reach out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank you
coming and
having me on.
speaking. Always a pleasure. And I know we both could speak for hours and hours, and I'm really keeping an eye on the time today. So thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll continue the conversation afterwards.
Yeah, well.
Thank you. Thank you to those that have listened today. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I'll be back next week with a new guest. Until then, stay curious and be kind to yourself.